Hello, I'm Joe Wright, and welcome back to Raised by Pride. Today, we'll be talking about Chapter 2, The Years with Sue. Super excited to share this chapter as it shares really the foundation of my life and the love, peace, and happiness that I found growing up in a queer household. I hope you enjoy. Raised by Pride, Chapter 2. Life with Sue, where safety and survival met in a small house at the edge of the woods. Leaving everything I had known, I didn't know what to expect. But when we pulled into the driveway of Sue's small house in Jessup, Maryland, something shifted. It wasn't home yet, but it didn't feel like danger either. I was 7 years old and about to begin the most unexpected, grounding chapter of my childhood. It was a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath home nestled on the edge of a forest. From the moment we arrived, everything felt new, different, unfamiliar. After the fear and confusion of those final days with my father, Sue's house in Jessup felt like a new world. It was still strange, but full of possibilities. Sue had never had kids, and I'm not sure she ever imagined herself raising one, but she stepped in with this quiet determination that would shape the next 7 years of my life. I would be almost 14 by the time we left that house. The house layout was simple, but felt cozy over time. You entered into the living room, and just to the right was my small bedroom. Behind that, the kitchen and eating area opened up, with my mom and Sue's bedroom tucked just behind mine. The bathroom was off the kitchen, and a utility hall led to the back room where the laundry was done. The back door opened to the kennels. My mom and Sue wasted no time rebuilding their dog kennel business, and within a few years the house saw some additions. A new kennel building a few hundred yards behind the house, an office wing added to the left side, and a small bedroom off the back hall. Because of Sue, we didn't just have dogs, we had chickens, geese, a goat, and at one point she became a licensed wildlife rehabilitator for birds of prey. We had hawks, petrels, and even an owl. She bred mice to feed them. Sue expected me to pitch in. I cut grass, I cleaned kennels on weekends, collected coal and kindling for the stove, and took my turn washing dishes. There was always something to do. Through it all, my mom remained my constant. She was my foundation before, during, and after everything changed. She wasn't the type to coddle or shield me from the world. Instead, she gave me space to learn, to stumble, and to make my own choices. She'd offer guidance when I needed it, but never interfered with lessons that had to be learned the hard way. Some people saw her as stern or distant, especially if they weren't in her circle of trust. But I knew the truth. I knew the warmth behind her eyes. I knew the steady presence at my back. She loved me without conditions or limits. No matter where life took us, I never once doubted whose corner she was in. She was in mine, always. We lived on the edge of a forest. I spent hours exploring the trails until I knew them like the back of my hand. It became my sanctuary. After some time living there, my mom began to joke that Sue and I weren't allowed to go anywhere together because we always came back with a new animal. A new dog, baby chickens, a goat, geese, some wild bird in need of care. Sue taught me how to shoot a rifle, how to survive in the woods, in a car during a snowstorm, or just in life. She didn't soften the world for me. She taught me how to meet it head on. Our bond didn't happen overnight, but it grew, slowly and deeply. And it went from Sue being a stranger to someone I couldn't imagine my life without. And Sue didn't just give me her time, she gave me her world. We were welcomed into her family with open arms. I adored her brother Tommy, who I affectionately called Cousin Tommy. He was in his 20s when I met him, and he took me under his wing, helping me build my first punker wardrobe, goofing off and sneaking away for fun. Then there was her sister Bonnie, who had 2 kids, John and Karen. John was 5 years older than me and quickly became like a big brother. I idolized him. One day, when I was about 9 or 10, Sue asked us to do some chores behind the house. When we were done with the chores, John and I decided to go help by driving her truck down the hill to the driveway. He worked the pedals, I steered. I couldn't even see over the steering wheel. We thought we were heroes. Sue thought otherwise. We were grounded from each other for a while, something about bad decisions when we were together. Then there were the friends. My mom and Sue surrounded themselves with vibrant, joyful, loving people. Their dinner parties were full of laughter and dancing, and the annual Christmas party felt like magic. I was always the only kid, so I soaked up the attention. But it was more than that. That safe, joyful world stood in contrast to something I was still trying to understand. I hadn't told anyone, but the abuse from my sister hadn't stopped immediately. And even when it did, the confusion stayed. Society kept telling me that straight was good and queer was dangerous. But that wasn't my experience. The people who hurt me were the ones the world celebrated. The people who made me feel safe were the ones it warned me about. That contradiction haunted me. And even though I was just a kid, I carried it quietly through those years. Looking back, it's hard to imagine what my life would have been without Sue. What started as an uncertain arrival at a small house in the woods became a foundation of love, stability, and identity. By the time I was 8 or 9, our lives had found a rhythm. The house was busy, it was full of animals and chores and woods to explore, but what I remember most wasn't just the work or the routine. It was the joy, the kind that filled our little house when their friends came over. The music, the laughter, the warmth. I didn't know it at the time, but I was witnessing something sacred. These gatherings, dinners, and parties were more than just get-togethers. They were a kind of refuge, a celebration of identity in a world that often denied it. These were moments of freedom for people who lived in a world that didn't see them. In our home, they were safe, seen, and celebrated. It was beautiful, and I got to be a part of it. Next, we'll talk about the dancing, the singing, and the stories told late into the night, what I learned about love, resilience, and the courage it took to be openly queer in a world that didn't always welcome it. I hope you enjoyed Chapter 2, The Years with Sue, as I finally found safety, love, and stability in the queer community. Please continue to follow along as I tell the story of how the queer community has helped shape me into the man, husband, and father I have become. Thank you. I'm Joe Wright, and this is Raised by Pride.